At the end of this little salty clip I've got for you, these whining lefties, there's a little bit of information that actually pertains to the rest of the video. I'm talking about breaking news we got today, folks. Something we just found out about one of Trump's cases. I'm talking about the New York case involving his immunity status with the Supreme Court. We've asked for a motion to dismiss the case. We're fixing to find out what happened, folks. Here it goes. I love it. I love it.
The Supreme Court is functioning, and it is basically giving a green light for criminal activity in the Oval Office under certain circumstances, which I think, given the present state of our country, is very, very scary.
The president's interactions with the Department of Justice are absolutely immune. Terrifying decision.
For all practical purposes, this is absolute immunity. It's dangerous.
Professor, it's indeed a frightening scenario that you're outlining there.
The president becomes a king in that circumstance, and it's just incomprehensible that the Supreme Court could come to such a judgment.
Trump's Supreme Court has decreed him a king, and now it's just up to voters to say, do you want, there are no guardrails now. Second term for Trump, there are no guardrails.
We've been on this steady march of acceptance, a normalization of political violence. Now it's almost codified.
I guess, theoretically, President Biden, acting within the scope of his official duties, could dispatch the military to take out the conservative justices on the court, and he'd be.
You see that lady smile when she's talking about, well, maybe we could get Biden to take out Trump and the Supreme Court justices. SEAL Team 6. You hear that shit, folks? These people are talking about hypothetical assassinations. Crazy.
But then something happened today. Immediately following today's seismic Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity, Trump's lawyers advised the judge in the New York criminal case that they are going to ask him formally, they're going to file a motion asking him essentially to set aside Trump's guilty verdict, despite the jury's verdict in that case. After the after Trump's lawyers notified the judge that they were going to ask him to set aside the verdict, prosecutors then didn't send in their sentencing recommendations as they had been expected to do. Now, as far as we know, the sentencing is still on. But there is an element of uncertainty now as to what kind of a hitch this might be in finishing up this criminal case in which Trump has already been convicted. We can report tonight that Trump's lawyers have asked that the sentencing itself be delayed. And we expect that Judge Merchan will consider delaying the sentence after he gets both that request from Trump's lawyers, but also after he hears from the prosecutors on that matter.
The best part of this is, folks, we have got immediate resolution to the possibility of the magic question: will Trump's New York case get dismissed? I'm glad to see Trump's team jumping on it already. Fact of the matter is, every single one of these cases against Trump, all 5 of these cases, all 91 charges against Trump, all have something to do with him being the president. This presidential immunity is going to kick every single one of these cases in the teeth, even the ones that are not federal charges, because of the fact that he was a sitting president while these claims were assumed. Let's go ahead and get into the great breaking news that we just found out today, less than a couple of hours ago. This information hit the airways. Now, Associated Press is not that great of a news source, but on this particular piece of information, I think they're wonderful. Here we go. Manhattan prosecutors said Tuesday they would not oppose Donald Trump's request to delay the sentencing in the hush money trial as he seeks to have the conviction overturned following a Supreme Court ruling that granted broad immunity protections for the former president. In a letter filed with the New York court prosecutor, the Manhattan District Attorney ALVIN BRAGG office said that they would be open to delay at least 2 weeks in the July 11th sentencing in order to file a response to Trump's motion. They're trying to figure out what to do at this point. If granted by Judge Juan Merchan, the delay would mean that Trump won't learn his sentence until after he is formally nominated as the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, which starts July 15th, leaving open the possibility that he could be ordered to jail during the critical stretch of his campaign. Seems like this throws the whole monkey wrench into the whole situation. We will have to see. It says the letter came one day after Trump's attorneys requested the judge to delay the sentencing as he weighs in the high court's ruling on how it could influence the New York's case, talking about the Supreme Court ruling of presidential immunity. Let me see what they got here for an audio recording.
Donald Trump's lawyers asked the judge in his hush money case to delay his July 11th sentencing, and the Manhattan DA now says they would be open to a delay of up to 2 weeks. This all comes in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling Monday granting broad immunity protections to presidents. Trump's attorneys want Judge Juan Merchan to throw out his conviction, but Pace University law professor Bennett Gershman says he doesn't think that will happen.
Even if a president has absolute immunity, a candidate for president doesn't, and I think that was Judge Merchan's thinking from the beginning. I do agree some evidence came in when Trump became president, but again, that evidence was remote, irrelevant, and probably not even admissible.
Julie Walker, New York. Donald Trump.
Well, that was a left-winger's opinion, but I think this whole case is going to have to be reconsidered, considering they're at the sentencing phase, and we now find out that some of the information in the case is not applicable. It says in the filing, the defense attorney argued that Manhattan prosecutor had placed highly prejudicial emphasis on the official acts evidence, including Trump's social media posts and witness testimony about the Oval Office meeting. Prosecutors said Tuesday they believed that those arguments were without merit, but noted that they were not opposed to adjourning the sentence as the judge considered the matter. Putting it on hold. I love it. I love it. Trump was convicted on May 30th of 34 counts. Falsifying business records arising from the prosecutors said was an attempt to cover up $130,000 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. We all know about this. Let's see if they got any piece of information here that we don't know. Falsifying business records is punishable by up to 4 years in prison, is what they're saying. Other potential sentences include probation, fine, condition charges, which could require Trump to stay out of trouble or avoid additional punishment, wear an ankle monitor, or be on house arrest, something to that effect as well. Trump is the first ex-president to ever be convicted of a crime. See, they had to throw that in there. Trump will be required to present in Merchan's courtroom when he is sentenced. Trump's campaign did not immediately respond to the court request for comment, but I was able to find the District Attorney County of New York docket paper from ALVIN BRAGG to Juan Merchan. Now let's read this here together. It says to Juan Merchan, New York State Supreme Court criminal term, Part 59. Let's see here. People versus Trump. Dear Justice Merchan, we are in receipt of defendant pre-motion letter dated July 1st, 2024, yesterday, seeking a leave to file a motion to set aside the verdict pursuant to CPL 330.30, that's the code, based upon the Supreme Court's July 1st, 2024 decision that Trump versus United States, basically his guilty verdict. In that letter, defendant requests until July 10th, 2024 to submit a memorandum of law in support of such motion, while defendant letter states that he does not object to adjourning of the July 11th, 2024 sentencing date. He requests a file moving paper on July 10th is necessary to request to adjourn sentencing hearing currently scheduled for July 11th pending resolution. Although we believe defendant's arguments will be without merit, we do not oppose his request for leave to file. His putative request is to adjourn sentencing pending determination of his motion. We respectfully request the deadline 2 weeks after the defendant request deadline to file to serve a response. This is basically ALVIN BRAGG sending a letter to Juan Merchan saying that we've decided that we can delay the case. Now it's really solely up to you. Now we'll have to see how Juan Merchan handles this case going forward. But if he doesn't go this route after the recommendation, there's always the possibility that it'll be worse for him later when it comes back to Trump getting back in, when it comes back to this case being adjudicated or thrown out after the fact because of the malpractice, the things that we're finding out with these Supreme Court decisions, like the fact that Trump had presidential immunity. How can this hush money case still stand with this presidential immunity weighing in the background? Uh, it's a mess, folks. Every one of his cases right now are a huge effing mess, and that's good for us. That's good for Trump. That's good for the country. These lefties are on the on the ropes. I love it. I love it. This is not the final say as to what it's going to be on this, but it does look like ALVIN Bragg has backpedaled to the fact that he is willing to delay if it helps him, if it helps their case. But at this point, the fact of the matter is, they've already sentenced Trump on something the Supreme Court, as of a couple of days ago, basically decided was not worthy. There's so many factors in this particular hush money case that are not even should have not even been allowed to be heard in court as prosecutorial evidence because Trump has presidential immunity. I love it. I love it, folks. Like, subscribe, and share. Devoted Patriots, everybody have a great day. I just figured I'd bring y'all this breaking news. I am told that Matt and Romeo over on American Patriot News will be doing a video on this at their normal time. I believe it's 5 o'clock. Involving the same case. They're going to break it down for you just like I did, maybe a little better. Who knows? At this point, maybe we'll have some more information by that time of day, a few more hours from now. But in the meantime, everybody have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share. Devoted Patriots, over and out.